So you want to know about revolution, house churches and leaders. Well, you know, I actually wrote that a 2 or 3 years ago, but actually not long after I got out of high school. We started a fellowship, and it was actually in a house in Colorado. And then started a couple years later, went and started another one. Yeah, we had a couple of them in Colorado, and then in the early 70s, I got a bunch of students together, and we went on what we called a blitz, basically to university campuses, and started virtually house churches. We were sharing the gospel with people all on the campuses all over the country, and but each place we'd see people saved, baptized, and basically form them in house churches. We didn't actually have the money to even think of building a church. It never even crossed our mind. Long story short, we started churches, campus churches with students primarily, and made in different homes on different campuses around central United States and in other places. So, but then as I that a little older, and now several years later, many years later, yeah, I know, many years later, I looked back and I realized that that wasn't just a practical thing to do in our particular case, but I began to see in the scriptures how the strategicness of it, in fact, the only thing there is house churches. Many people believe that the New Testament Christians had house churches because they were persecuted and that's all they could do, but clearly that was not the case, as you'll see in the book. And really, I think that this is not just kind of a novel type thing. I think it's something that God really established for the multiplication of the church. And this book really goes in, Revolution, House Churches and Leaders, really shows how it's not just an option, but that it's really biblical, and really how it can make all the difference in the world. It affects clergy laity, which is not found in the New Testament. We look into that, so we not only look into the concept of how to start house churches, how they function, but a lot in leadership and leaders, and how just the common man can be a leader. So it's been catching on. We have not particularly marketed it by word of mouth. People have just been reading it and telling their friends, and as a result, there's been house churches now starting, and some in the United States, some in other countries, in China, India, and other places around the world where people have just been reading it and been excited about it, and just wanted to obey and see that they can do everything the Bible says. So you'll have to read the book to find out. I guarantee you, if you read it, you'll be shocked at what the New Testament Christians, how they met, how they had leadership, and really why they were able to reach the world in the first century and really fulfill the Great Commission in their generation. And I personally believe it's so strategic that only where we get back to this can we see the most happen in any nation. So you'll just have to order and read it. That's all I can say.